The gaming landscape in the Caribbean is very diverse in terms of size and scope. Our intention for this segment is to give representatives from some of those jurisdictions to share with us the story of development in their respective markets. We have 4 presentations. My note says 3, but we actually have 4. You get an extra one today. The U.S. Virgin Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and now Guyana. We apologize on behalf of our colleagues from Turks and Caicos, who unfortunately had a major flight delay and is not able to arrive to be here with us. The U.S. Virgin Islands will be led by Ms. Mabel Maduro, Education Outreach Officer from the Virgin Islands Lottery. From Trinidad and Tobago, we have Siobhan Robinson, Project Manager in the Strategic Management and Execution Office of the Ministry of Finance in Trinidad and Tobago. From Jamaica, we have Mr. Maurice Thompson, our own Director of Licensing and Compliance. And as we heard from Guyana, you have Mr. Ford.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, what an introduction, right? You would think, I know Maurice is a very good friend of mine, and I'll be kind of trying to be honest and open. I get a little nervous around presentation, so don't be worried if you see me shiver a little, right? Well, thank you for that introduction. I am Siobhan Robinson, and I am here with Ms. Seema Mohammed, Senior Legal Counsel in the Treasury Solicitor's Office, Ministry of Finance. And we are delighted for the opportunity to share with you our proposed regulatory framework, but an important point. At this particular stage, at this time, our Gambling Control Bill 2016 and regulations are currently before a Joint Select Committee of the Parliament. So what this means is a committee comprising government ministers, opposition members, and independent senators is reviewing all documentation. The outcome of that process, the final documents, must be debated and passed in the House of Representatives and the Senate before it becomes law. So there's a chance that things could change. And because of the sensitivity of that process, I'm unable to get into too much details of our framework. Nonetheless, we're here to share with you what was recommended by the project team to the cabinet, right? And we'll try to touch on, a brief history of gambling in Trinidad and Tobago, the existing environment, current market estimates, the existing regulatory structure, and the proposed regulatory structure. You see, gambling has been in existence in Trinidad and Tobago for well over 25 years, and this was only made possible because of the private members clubs model. A private members club in Trinidad and Tobago, traditional, this is a situation where you will have 25 persons meeting for tea and coffee and decide to play. And in them playing games with cash, nothing goes to the house. All the winnings are distributed towards amongst the members. This is clearly not what we have in our environment today. In 2009, the Financial Action Task Force published a report titled The Vulnerability of the Gaming Sector. In that report, it stated that in Trinidad and Tobago, we had 72 private members clubs operating like casinos, unregulated. So from 2009 to 2015, we've recorded an average of 20 new private members clubs opening in Trinidad and Tobago, unregulated, per year. We've also observed a recent phenomenon of the amusement games on the market. An amusement game in Trinidad and Tobago is determined by its payout, and which is 5,000 TT dollars maximum per game. To operate these devices, all you need is a liquor license, and it's an automatic entitlement to have up to 20 of these devices in your establishment at one period in time. So you could understand, you could see where this is going. Sharing with you some of our gaming industry estimates, and these estimates are conservative. You could clearly see how the regulated sectors, which are the lotteries sector, lotteries and the betting sector, versus the unregulated, which are the casino and amusement sector. The unregulated sectors in Trinidad and Tobago is currently gaining a lot of grounds. It accounts for over 70% of market share. And when you look at the employment, directly employs 7,000 and 5,000 persons, the casino and the amusement industry, respectively. Indirectly, the same casino and amusement sectors employ 30,000 persons and 40,000 persons, respectively, from the various goods and services that they consume. We estimate that there is on average 6,000 bars throughout Trinidad and Tobago with these amusement devices and 249 private members clubs registered with the Inland Revenue Division. So in essence, we have a fully developed gaming industry in Trinidad and Tobago. This is our existing regulatory structure. You're actually looking at a system where various government agencies are responsible for critical aspects of the industry. For example, the Board of Inland Revenue, responsible for taxes. The FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit, responsible for ensuring compliance for money laundering. And you have the judiciary that grants the license for the private members clubs and the liquor license. This system at this point is inadequate. And within this system, these organizations, these government entities have confidentiality provisions which restricts them from sharing information from one entity to the next. Examining this current system, we have the project team, we reviewed it, and we created a one-stop shop that will be responsible for dealing with all of these issues. And within that one-stop shop, we have a proposed regulatory framework which addresses the industry's vulnerability to money laundering and terrorist financing. It prevents criminal and corrupt elements from infiltrating the sector. It protects the vulnerable, including minors and problem gamblers. It ensures that gaming is conducted honestly and fairly, and it provides for the collection of taxes. The legislative framework in Trinidad and Tobago, it creates a commission, and that commission will be run by a board of directors, and they would have necessary powers to get the job done. It deals with the establishment of a licensing regime to deal with the casinos, the betting sector, and the amusement sector. It creates a taxation regime, social impact fund, strong enforcement to support compliance, and the requisite penalties. You see, once you operate in this industry, it's a given, you will be affected. And when we examine preventing money laundering and terrorist financing, the Gambling Control Commission will be the competent authority responsible for ensuring all AML, CFT compliance issues are in place. The FIU remains the authority for suspicious activity reports, and all of those reports will be sent to the FIU. The Commission will also have power under the law of issuing, revoking, and suspending license for non-compliance. Customary due diligence, that is important. Currently, under the private members clubs model, you are required to have this in place. And what this means, if you want to enter a gaming establishment in Trinidad and Tobago, you must first provide them a copy of your ID and or passport and answer detailed questions about yourself, which could help them in the source of funds verification. This will go forward into the new regime. All persons in this sector must be adjudged to be fit and proper to get a license. And I'm speaking directly about owners, directors, significant shareholders, 5% and above, beneficial owners, associates, trustees, committee members, senior managers, and key employees of the licensees, members of the board of directors of the commission, and some senior employees also must meet these requirements, but they will fall under the Integrity in Public Life Act and therefore submit all documentation to the Integrity Commission. Enforcement. The bill speaks to strong enforcement, where the authorized officers will have the power of entry, inspection, seizure, and on-site investigations. This is a general overview of of the offenses that we have in the proposed bill, and from declaration of board interest, where a board member must declare his or her interest in a licensed application, to obstruction, preventing a licensed and authorized officer of the commission from doing his or her job in a licensed environment. And I would just like to touch base on the remote facilities. We understand that online gaming is the next big thing, and it has a lot of traction in Trinidad and Tobago. However, at this point, our core focus is the land-based casinos. So we are not going to allow any hosting of, the proposed bill recommends that there will be no hosting of online gaming in Trinidad and Tobago. That is a second phase of the project that the Commission will look after. When you look at the framework for fees and levies, the Commission is recommended will be collecting all the levies and fees. There is a flat tax that currently obtains under the existing system. That flat tax system, that flat device tax will carry forward into the new regime. This is because there is insufficient data to make an informed recommendation to the Cabinet of what the gross gaming revenue tax should be in Trinidad and Tobago. Of all the funds collected by the Commission, it can only be touched through a budgetary process approved by the Minister, to which excess, all surplus, will be deposited into the consolidated fund. This gives you an idea of the licensing regime that we are having in place to deal with the industry. In Trinidad and Tobago, applying for a license, you must be a company incorporated or an individual. Just to give you a general idea, because of time, gaming owner's license, bookmaker's license, promoter's license, and the premises license, you're required to be a company incorporated in Trinidad and Tobago. The gaming machine sales or lease license, the import license, and also the technical operator's license, you can be either a company or an individual. The gaming operator's license and the personal license, an individual. The operator's license, that is the liaison person between the Commission and the licensee, so like the CEO. The bill also speaks to the establishment of a rehabilitation fund and a development fund. Problem gambling is a serious issue that requires dedicated resources, and this is where the rehabilitation fund came. It was designed to assist NGOs in that particular area whose focus is to help persons deal with this particular addiction. And it also looks at a development fund. The development fund is designed to assist persons in the area of sport development, arts, culture, and health, respectively. How is it expected to work? Well, you're looking at a situation where, of the gaming revenue collected, a percentage will be allocated annually to both the Rehabilitation and Development Fund. The minister, he will appoint a committee. Amongst other functions, they will develop the evaluation criteria and make a recommendation to the board of directors of the persons who should receive monies from these funds. Only the board of the commission can disperse funds of the commission. That entire process is expected to be audited annually, to which a report will be laid to the minister and then in turn Parliament. So looking at where we are currently and where we're trying to go in the proposed regulatory structure, it is evident that only suitable applicants under the new regime will be granted a license. There will be ongoing assessments of all persons who have received that license, and all anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing procedures and policies must be in place and effected if persons are to enjoy that license. Herein lies my presentation. Thank you for not falling asleep. I'm open to any questions. Thank you.
Good day, all participants. The gaming sector in Guyana is governed under the Gaming Act, initially passed in 1905. The Act had in its terms and provisions, its focus was supposed to deal with horse racing, and it covered no other form of gambling. The Act proceeded on the basis that all forms of gambling, other than that specifically provided in the Act, were completely prohibited. In 2007, the government passed substantially the first major amendment to the Gaming Act to permit casino gambling, and simultaneously enacted the provisions and the establishment of the Gaming Authority of Guyana. But the peculiarity in relation to the Gaming Authority of Guyana when it was enacted in 2007 was that its focus and jurisdiction was limited only to casinos. That largely continues to be the state of affairs in Guyana, but we have had the development by persons and entities, though not specifically provided for in the law, of other forms of gambling. And in 2016, a new bill was submitted, prepared by the current Gaming Authority, and it's currently being considered by the Attorney General Chambers. That bill largely covers the areas dealt with by my friend from Trinidad and Tobago and provides and specifies all forms of gambling, which are now permitted. It runs ahead of what is the current state of affairs. It provides for interactive gambling and any other form of gambling in the country. That bill is currently to be reviewed, and ultimately we propose that will be approved by Cabinet and ultimately by the Parliament of Guyana. The gaming sector in itself can be described as one that is in its infancy, but it has tremendous potential. We have received a number of applications which we cannot seriously consider or grant because of the legal limitations. We received applications for video lottery terminals um, and other forms of gambling. So we are currently in the process of reviewing those applications. We have situations where, because of a lax administration, certain forms of gambling has actually started. So the Gaming Authority is in the process of trying to establish some interim measures and regulations to deal with it, though not specifically empowered at this time to do so. That, in summary, is the situation in Guyana. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. I bring you warm greetings from the U.S. Virgin Islands. My name is Mabel Maduro, and I'm the Educational Outreach Manager for the Virgin Islands Lottery. I have a rather colorful presentation, and it's just a snapshot, an overview of some of the things that we're doing in the U.S. Virgin Islands. With me today, I have my assistant, or the assistant CFO, Ms. Jana Willie. Would you stand? Let's see. At the VI Lottery, our mantra is imagine the possibilities. We imagine how we can expand our services and how we can further engage members of the community to participate in supporting our traditional lottery tickets. Today, I'm just going to give you a little backdrop on the Virgin Islands Lottery, discuss our mandated and non-mandated contributions that we make to the community, and some of the, I should say, ground level work that's being done to develop our infrastructure. First, I'd like to, on behalf of Mr. Wang Figueroa Sr., he is the executive director, and as many of you know, in the Caribbean islands, our countries, we always have a change of administration with new governors or ministers, as you know it. And so Mr. Figueroa has been in office approximately three and a half years under the existing administration under Honorable Governor Kenneth Mapp. And we would like to, on his behalf, we'd like to thank the organizers for this opportunity to network with other Caribbean nations. We look forward to cultivating strategic alliances and partnerships with you as we continue to imagine the possibilities as to how we can work with you in the future. We are celebrating 80 years of being in business. We are the oldest traditional lottery in the United States. We were founded in 1937, and we proudly celebrate 80 years. And at this time in the Virgin Islands, we are also celebrating our centennial. The centennial involves the transfer of the islands from Denmark to the United States. So as we celebrate as a territory 100 years under US leadership, we also celebrate 80 years in business as the oldest traditional lottery in the United States. We generate about $20 million per year, And as a part of educating the public about the lottery, what we do, and showing that we are an integral part of the community, we had an entry in our 2017 St. Thomas Carnival. This is just a snapshot of some of the employees. We have about 56 employees territory-wide. So we all participated in a fun day, yet we educated the public more by disseminating information and other promotional materials. We are a philanthropic agency. 70% of our money generated is reinvested in the community. And the money goes, mandated and non-mandated contributions go to the Virgin Islands community. Our public schools receive 15% of our revenues. It goes to the Department of Education for funding public schools. So we're looking at about $500,000 per annum that goes to the Department of Education. Our GERS bonus program, 10% of our revenues go to the government employees retirement system, and every year retirees get a bonus around Christmas time. Perfect timing. The pharmaceutical program assistant fund. This fund helps, particularly our elderly, if we fund their pharmaceutical prescriptions. And finally, the Veterans Affairs. We donate $100,000 annually to the Office of Veterans Affairs. Okay, it'd be remiss of me. We also support, because there was a lot of talk about horse racing commission. We donate about 3% of our revenues proceeds to the horse racing commission. Now, as I said, because Mr. Figueroa is fairly new, we have been focusing on developing our infrastructure. So our operation systems are being updated. We're installing a lot of modern servers and IT switches, upgrading operating systems to Server 2012. The accounting system is being updated, new computers, the installation of 2017 artificial intelligence antivirus. And these things basically were outdated until Mr. Figueroa came on board. Now, some of our future plans for 2017, 2018 would involve installation of new firewalls, voice over IP phones and video conferencing, the installation of Microsoft Office 365, and a point of sales system. This will reduce the risk of malicious data usage, and the modern point of sale system will allow us to have better tracking of our ticket sales. The Virgin Islands Lottery also enrolls and regulates 600 plus gaming video lottery terminals on St. Thomas and on St. John. We also have the Caribbean Lottery, which is one of our contractors, and they provide the Powerball, Mega Million, and other game services throughout the territory. And we are currently producing a filler for our biweekly drawings, and it will be called the Little Extra, and that is to be implemented in 2018. We're also working with the Caribbean Lottery on updating gaming drawing systems, and in the process of approving a contract that will generate 40% more in revenue than in the previous year, and an expected 5% growth in the VLT area. Now, this is my baby. I manage our community investments, the investments we make in terms of nonprofit organizations that we support. So we support these nonprofits if they fall within the realm of our target market, which would be education, community and business development, and health and public welfare. We've allotted $300,000 annually for sponsorship of community-based programs that contribute to a better quality of life for Virgin Islanders. We believe by doing this, it gives us an opportunity to enlighten the public about the sponsorship program and the funding that we offer, and we reach a wider demographic and gather even more support from our general community.
The Virgin Islands benefits in so many ways every time you play the Virgin Islands Lottery. Education wins. Our students are enriched by the programs we support. Community development wins when we strengthen the social fabric of our society. Health and public welfare wins as we create an awareness of social issues that impact our daily lives. Over $2 million reinvested in the community. Who knew one lottery ticket can have so many winners? Imagine the possibilities.
And I thank you for this time and your attention. Enjoy the rest of the summit. And we do have some giveaways for you. There was a little mix-up. I didn't think I was presenting today. However, I'll bring them tomorrow, and they'll be made available to you. Thank you, and enjoy the summit.
Thank you, Ms. Madero. Morris, your turn.
Good morning. Chairman of the BJLC, JRC, CGC, our Executive Director, Chairman of the event, Ms. Martinez, management staff of the Betting, Game and Lotteries Commission, our overseas regulators, gaming licensees, operators, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thanking you for making it the Caribbean Gaming Summit 2017. My presentation this morning will just give you a snapshot of Jamaica's gaming industry in 2015-2016. In your package, you'll know we have gone through the history of gambling in Jamaica since its inception. So we'll just invite persons to take a look at what has happened in Jamaica in recent time. So let's look at the Jamaica gaming industry. When we speak about Jamaica's gaming industry, we speak about the betting sector, the gaming sector, the lottery sector, and prize promotion. And I know we have visitors from a number of Caribbean countries that let's break down what it means in each sector. So our betting sector, the industry performance, 2015, 2016, we had sales of $135 billion, payout of $117 billion, which is a payout ratio of 87%. And the comparative figure from the previous year is also there. Levies and taxes, 2015, almost $6 billion was collected, which is an increase of almost 4% over the previous year. And this is a breakdown of revenue, the 5.7 billion. Betting contribute 4.7%, gaming 8%, lotteries 87%, and prize promotion 0.3%. So the composition of the betting sector. The bookmakers, the horse racing, sports betting, and our new racing promoter, Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited. And they offer local simulcast racing and horses and sports betting. That sector had sales of $8.9 billion, and the fees and levies collected was $0.27 billion. Gaming sector, gaming lounges, non-gaming lounges, and locally manufactured machines. Gaming lounges are premises with 20 or more machines. Non-gaming lounges are premises with 19 and less machines. sales in that sector, $91.9 billion. And the fees and levies collected, $490.2 million. I should highlight here that a local manufacturer's machine doesn't pay the taxes. They pay a license fee, and it's about $40 million last year. Most of that fees and levies is from the gaming lounges and the non-gaming lounges. The lottery sector. We have 2 licensed lottery operators, only 1 currently operating, and they had sales in 2015-16 of $34.9 billion, which is a 3% decline over the previous year. The to-be-released figures will show that they have increased significantly over last year and the previous year's figures. Price promotion. In Jamaica, a lot of companies, entities apply to do competition rules, and the commission is the entity that is in charge of that. We had 258 applications in 2015-2016. The value of the prizes were $450 million, and the revenue received was $17.7 million. The future. We at the commission, we are cognizant of what is going to happen in the future. And we have seen a reduction already in the number of brick and mortar betting offices. For example, in 1980, Jamaica had about 600 what we call betting shops. In 2017, we have about 250, a significant reduction. We expect this reduction to continue. Interactive gaming. This is where the market is going, and we expect all offerings, the bookmaking offering, the gaming lounge offering, and the gaming offering to all come through interactive means. We expect a younger demographic. They are tech savvy, they're used to sports, they're used to fantasy, so we expect that market to grow significantly. From the BGLC point of view, we expect to be the leader in terms of innovation and technology, in terms of regulation. From a political point of view, from a legal point of view, I think the commission is well on spot. We have seen the trend. We're regulating, we're improving our regulation. From an economic point of view, you have seen the figures. All the licensee and the government has benefited significantly. From a social point of view, gambling has been a part of the Jamaican landscape for 300 years. It's not going to change anytime soon. And from a technological point of view, almost all the Jamaicans in the house have probably more than 1 smartphones with them. And the trend is going to continue. Jamaica is one of the few countries in the world with a cell phone penetration of more than 100%. So from a political, economic, social, and technological point of view, we expect the market to continue to grow. So we invite interested visitors to be a part of the Jamaican gaming landscape. We expect continued growth, continued innovation, and be a part of the best thing in the Caribbean. Come to Jamaica, feel all right. Thank you.
Our time's up. We have time for questions. Our time's up, but if there are any burning questions of the panelists, we certainly will entertain 1 or 2 questions quickly. Any questions?
Is the lottery run by government or? No, local government. It's run by local government. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm calculating. You saw the breakdown of like 50%? Almost. Jana, can you help me with that? What total percentage goes towards the mandated contributions if you were to? About 50+%? Yeah, so what's the total in terms of the whole? Okay.
Did anybody hear me?
No?
Oh, okay, sorry. Um, it varies based on the amount of monies we receive from our different machineries. So I would say like so far for this year is like approximation of 300,000 quarterly.
Towards all mandated contributions.
Yes.
I don't know the percentage.
And I remember the first question was asking if we're governmental agency. We're actually both. We're governmental and semi-autonomous. So we are private and we're government combined.
No, well, we're a government agency.
I'm sorry, you were asking a question about the
Purpose of the rehabilitation fund.
Well, the Rehabilitation Fund was designed to assist non-governmental organizations whose core focus is to rehabilitate persons from problem gambling and gambling addiction. So once you fall in that criteria, then you're eligible to apply for funding.
Thank you. We must stop here. We've actually gone past our time. Let's please put our hands together and actually thank the panelists.
Thank you so much, Mr. Evans, and all the panelists here. We want you to remain on stage. We have a special presentation. But before lunch is going to be late because we're going to allow the other speaker to come and speak with you. However, we invite you to try and sit with some of the speakers. If you didn't get an opportunity to ask your questions now, maybe you can do it during lunchtime.